Hey everybody, welcome to the swamp. It's what's under the water that really matters. Today I take a look at Far Cry New Dawn, which is currently out on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. I'll touch base on the story, graphics, gameplay, and the time it took me to beat it, any issues I might have had, and what I thought overall of the game, and I'll let you be the judge if it's worth the asking price of $40 US. This game is an utter fucking mess. I mean, what the fuck were they thinking? I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. A little bit of Far Cry 4 with a splash of Far Cry Primal and the foundation of Far Cry 5, and boom, you have New Dawn. That's pretty much what New Dawn is. Far Cry New Dawn is a sequel to Far Cry 5. If you played Far Cry 5 and didn't leave with that warm, fuzzy feeling that one might get after taking a hot bath, eating a good meal, or the euphoria after a nice climax, then Far Cry New Dawn is here to shed some light on the continued story that might answer some questions when you finally reach the end of Far Cry 5. The story surrounds a character that you play called Captain, or Cap, and you are back in Hope County, Montana, 17 years after the collapse, which I also refer to as Joseph Seed, not getting his way and trying to put an end to local civilization, with a baby-sized temper tantrum, thus blowing up everything and leaving just a shit stain left on the map resembling nothing that remotely reflects the name Hope. Except that's not what happened. Things have changed a lot in 17 years, with bright colors that fill the map from colorful flowers to bright painted cars left in the middle of overgrown grass roads and outposts that look like somebody puked a bag of Skittles on it. One might think you entered Willy Wonka's magic rainbow-colored apocalyptic world. But not everything is bright as that pink flower you just ran across. A group of bandits, also known as highwaymen, have taken over and are led by two women also known as the twins, Mickey and Lou. They terrorize the remaining survivors with brute force and or violence, or it's so implied. Oftentimes I felt like they were trying to go back to the roots of Far Cry 3 and pull Vaz's personality, but unfortunately it didn't work for me. Twins aside, I am not talking about boobs. The game actually was fun to play for me. I spent several of my first 6 hours in the game just exploring the beginning part of the map, looting items, wondering what the fuck I was going to use them for, and overall just enjoying the environment more than what I originally thought I would. I mean, here's the thing. When I first saw Far Cry New Dawn, I thought, really? I'm not going to like this. I mean, it was bright, it was vibrant, and I thought, well, okay, I'm used to, Fallout type of games where the world is just not as bright and vibrant. But they actually did a hell of a job on it. I will give them that. It's not too overused or too overly saturated. So I felt, in general, it was good. Overall, the game took me 16 hours or so to complete all 22 story missions, 6 of the 8 side missions, and I didn't do the remaining 2, only due to me not wanting to track down the number of iPods that they want you to do or the pictures of interest that really showcase the area of Far Cry 5 before the big event happened of blowing the damn place up. There were no forced boss fights like there were in Far Cry 5, so you can roam around freely in areas if you wish to hunt, fish, kill random enemies patrolling the abandoned roads, or just sit back and take in some of that Skittle freshness. Graphically, the game looks a lot like Far Cry 5 with a taste of the rainbow effect thrown in. I thought the world was well done aside from a few texture issues and pop-in. These were present in Far Cry 5, but I felt it was more of an issue than it is now. The game played fine for me. I did, however, find that on a few occurrences there was some frame rate issues, but it wasn't anything that lasted too long or hindered me from playing the game. You have a base camp that's set up on the far edge of the map, which is called Prosperity. It does require upgrades, which is used. The upgrades are like ethanol, which you do find in the world by taking down outposts or scavenging the outpost, which will allow you to give it back to the highwaymen, only for you to try and take it over again. Doing this provides more ethanol for the upgrades, but also becomes harder each time you do so. You will also need to loot to upgrade your weapons, cars, health, and etc. So upgrading your base is necessary, as are obtaining specialists, which will you'll have to go out and find, rescue, and help and bring them back to your camp in order to be able to gain the ability to be able to upgrade your crafting system. Late game, if you're searching for that elite bow or sniper weapon, you'll need to either partake in the optional expeditions or hunt down those elite animals in order to get the necessary items required to craft what you're looking for. Overall, it does add some replayability with the offsite expeditions, which I thought were interesting. They do have some pretty cool locales with like a Navajo bridge, and then I believe there are a few others that you can go to. So I didn't spend a ton of time with those, but I did do a few of them and thought that it was a nice added feature because it's not actually a part of the map. If you ask me if I like the game and would I buy it again, I would say yes, but I understand what you are getting. The twins act very much in the way of pagan men from Far Cry 4. You don't see them often and only hear from them through a radio or when you overtake an outpost and it plays like a digital voice recorder or a digital tape or something of that nature. You'll hear them talk about, what you've done and how you're, invading their space and trying to take over, and they're going to come after you, so on and so forth. So for the most part, they were pretty much non-existent through the game. While it didn't bother me, I wish a little more thought would have been used to utilize them more. If you have ever played Primal, then you know how the crafting system works. New Dawn is very similar in that fashion by picking up plants and using those plants or meat from animals that you might kill to craft health packs, or when you loot areas for weapon parts, you'll be able to use that to craft weapons as well. Which I do want to point out that as you discover areas or like camps as you're exploring the world, Ubisoft implemented kind of a pretty neat little scavenging game. Basically, on your map, there will be an icon that's associated with each location that you find. And these aren't like the normal base camps or outposts. These are actually just areas throughout the game that you'll run across that you might have some enemies and you might have to overtake them. But as you go through, they have this like a little scavenging game, and basically it's the items will show up on the map or as you're transversing through that one specific area, and it might say you have collected 1 of 4 screws or 1 of 6 springs. So you have to go around that area and try to figure out where the other ones are. Once you do that, it'll say completed, and the little check mark, there'll be a little green check mark that'll pop up on your map. And I actually found that kind of fun because I've spent time trying to find those items, and some of them are actually very well placed. So as you're looking around, some of them might be on top of buildings, inside of buildings, in the back of a bed of a vehicle, things like that. And it felt like it added a little bit more immersion to the game, which I certainly appreciated. And I wasn't just doing it to do it, because those items that you collect, you essentially have to utilize those items to craft weapons. So I felt like, what the hell, I'll have some fun doing it. And I felt like that's probably why they implemented that in the game. New Dawn was a game that did provide me with an ending that was needed for Far Cry 5. So I'm glad that I played it. I felt instead of the DLC for the $40 that they probably could have made this part of the DLC for Far Cry 5. It would have been better served that way. It's kind of like how Dying Light added in the following DLC. I felt like it just gives back to the gamers that supported that game. And I wish they would have implemented it in that way. And I'm not saying that it's not worth the $40. I'm not saying it's not worth the money when you find it on sale. I'm just saying that I felt like maybe it would have been a little bit better received if it was implemented differently in a DLC fashion. But even so, I still had a blast in my 16 plus hours. And honestly, with the expedition areas that I didn't try and the other areas throughout the game that I might have missed, areas of interest, I'll call them, I probably could have squeezed another 4 to 5 hours out of the game. So honestly, you'll have to be the judge on this. And the questions you probably should ask yourself are you interested in finding out what happened after Far Cry 5? Does it bother you that the twins try to represent something out of Mad Max but aren't around that much? It's not like they antagonize you on a consistent basis. So again, go back, look at Far Cry 5 or Far Cry 4, Pagan Men. If you played that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like they took 3 of the Far Cry games and they kind of meshed them together to provide with the content for New Dawn. Do you like a colorful world? Is that something that's going to be bothersome to you? Do you expect the apocalyptic world to be dead and have trees that are dead and no life? Because that's certainly not something that you're going to find here. Does spending $40 on a game that you could finish the story missions in 10 to 12 hours, if that's all you focused on? Or you can spend more time in the game like I did and roam around and take your time with it and get more out of it. But that's something that you have to ask yourself. So let me know your comments in the section down below on your thoughts, if it's something that would interest you or not. Or if you've played the game and you've had a chance to either finish it or not, I'd still like to hear your comments and thoughts on it. Overall, I enjoyed it. I didn't go into Far Cry New Dawn with this great expectation. I kind of felt like, all right, at $40, this is probably going to be a letdown. I'm probably not going to be able to get more than 10 hours out of the game. And I was wrong. I was absolutely dead wrong. And I'm actually glad that I played it, because there are plot twists. And without going into spoilers, there is a plot twist. There are some main missions in the game that I felt like Ubisoft really hit home on. And it spoke to me, and I wish there were more of those, because I certainly enjoyed them about halfway through the game. It was something that happened randomly, and I was like, whoa, what in the hell is going on? And that was probably one of the best parts for me. You do have boss fights in the game. Again, I'm not going to get into spoilers on those, but I think you can imagine what's going to happen to a certain point. They're not overly hard. I didn't have any difficulty with them for the most part. I will say there was one, but I was able to get through it. It wasn't like I rage quit the game or anything like that. So anyway, that's my review for Far Cry New Dawn. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if it's something you're willing to try, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know, and I'll continue doing more of these in the future. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Peace out, and I'll catch you on the next one.